What's going on, Soul Nation? Ginger Prime here, and today we're talking about the state of the game for Outriders. This is going to be a video that's got a little bit of positive, a little bit of negative, a lot of my opinion. This is a coffee chat. If you're new here to the channel, I hope that you maybe consider hitting that subscribe button and maybe checking out other videos that I have posted on this. But I've got my coffee, and these are unscripted thoughts, but I do want to talk about a few key areas of the game, its launch, and where I hope that it can go from here. Namely, obviously, we're going to talk about the inventory wipes. I've even seen character wipes being reported, but People Can Fly have talked about this, so we're gonna touch on that. I think it's a really important piece of the conversation. We're also going to talk about my thoughts on Endgame. We're going to talk about my thoughts on the Devastator specifically, and we're also going to talk about what I hope that they can do better in the world of Outriders, in this game specifically. But as always, these are just my thoughts. I'd love to know yours. Feel free to share any that you got. Whether you like or agree with me, or if you disagree with me. This is an open forum. Just remember to help just talk respectfully to everybody in the comments as we have these conversations around video games. All right, first and foremost, inventory wipes have yet to happen to me, but Abby Hour, if you guys haven't seen her content, I know that she got hit by a wipe. I think essentially you kind of have this community around the game, especially around this specific bug, that's fearful of the condition of getting wiped. And I have no judgment for that. In fact, this has changed the way I've been playing the game. It has shifted me completely into just leveling up the different characters. So all in all, you probably have seen the guide that I put out on how to power level. I am almost done with Technomancer. I've been also kind of dipping into Trickster and Pyromancer, just kind of pushing everybody up. I haven't really decided on a personal, like, do I just rush everybody to 30 or not? It's not necessarily that important. You can always jump in and join your friends no matter where they are, and you're going to get experience, you're going to get loot. And I think that's essentially what the core aspect of the game is all about. I love that they don't restrict you. I love that while it is MSQ gated to get into the M game, you're not going to be limited if you want to go play with friends and in that regard. So I really appreciate that aspect of the game itself. But the reason why I appreciate that aspect is because I am fearful of getting hit by a wipe. Obviously, I've seen lots of threads, lots of conversation about how not to get impacted by a wipe whatsoever, and I can completely, I really appreciate the theories and the feedback and how they're collecting the data, and I really have appreciated People Can Fly's like forthcoming in trying to address and target this issue. But that's not to say that it's not a massive bummer. First things first, we worked our way through server issues. They've got that fixed. The game's been stable for me. Haven't had any disconnects, haven't had any drops or any crashes, which is great because before that was happening quite frequently. Now, shifting into just like being afraid of playing, it's just shifted me into leveling characters. Characters that if like, hey, their inventory got wiped, I'm not up for a loss. But that's also had me kind of, stepping back from Devastator, which has been or was my like first character that I was going to play through to get a good gauge of all the characters at endgame. So Technomancer's almost finished at 30 here, and I absolutely adore it. In fact, when I think of Technomancer and I think of Trickster, I can see why these two classes are just dominating at the endgame. And that brings me to the overall thought of Devastator and Endgame specifically. I think we were seeing constant issues, or like even on the podcast, we talked about how Devastator's getting kicked from parties. And it's probably in the design of how Endgame functions. If speed is important, speed gets immediately coupled with damage. The more damage you do, the faster you go, the better rewards you get. And on top of that, you get healing from doing damage. Cover is for cowards, the old PR adage, if you will. And that all being said, it kind of just negates any kind of speed build, any kind of tank build for the Devastator, almost kind of making certain skills like completely, or at least less than valuable. And hopefully I think we'll see some buffs. And the question that I want to ask you is, do you guys think the Devastator should have a bullet skill? I kind of go back and forth on this personally. I would like to have a bullet skill. I like the bullet skills on the Trickster, and I like the bullet skills on the Technomancer. I haven't played the Pyromancer that much yet to be an expert in that class, but we'll get back to that as I continue to level. And then at the same time, I wonder, could they just bring up other skills to make them as devastating or as like, valuable to the end game, rather than like the fear would be homogenization. Like every class is technically the same. You just, this one poisons, this one burns. Like those are all dots, right? Like So I do kind of start to lean into like, well, maybe no, but let's look at what skills they have and how they can be enhanced so that essentially as a player you can end up having a little bit more fun, a little bit more options with that, especially because when you think about like, okay, if they were to go back and add a bullet skill to Devastator, like you need mods to have that impact, you need all these different things to have that impact. You could always add some kind of bullet benefit to a certain skill, so you could end up like kind of thinking of it in the terms of combos with your abilities and with your gunplay. But I actually really enjoy the endgame. I like how it's structured. I haven't done enough of it, again, for fear of the end wipe, so to speak. And so as a part of that, stepping back out of the endgame, like kind of grind, just focusing on leveling, I'm actually finding a really enjoyable time. I liked that I see so many people on my friends list playing. I like that it's easy to invite people into the game. I think it could definitely be handled a little bit better in the long run, especially when we start talking about how they've eased the issue with the crossplay desync issue. Essentially being able to see people like, and they said this is coming, where you could have a kind of an overall friends list that you could then invite. The one kind of critique that I would have in regards to that friend list is I can't see what character they're on or what they're doing. Is this person running endgame, or are they running through the story? Are they farming for XP? Are they farming for world tiers? Are they farming quests for loot? Like there's a couple of different kind of activities that you have as a player to go in and experience the game, and it's really exciting to see, but the UI doesn't necessarily communicate what they're doing, so it's kind of a guess, and it ends up, instead of just kind of just popping in and joining them on whatever they're doing, if they're doing something that I want to take part in, or it just kind of, like, anyway, I think the UI could just serve up a little bit more information, which would be useful, so to speak. So anyway, that's kind of where I land on Devastator and Endgame. Like I really enjoyed. I want more. Like I knew I was going to want more from this game. I knew like no matter what, that the hope is that the game's successful and they decide to add in more content down the road, either via an expansion, which would be my guess. But at the same time, like, does it have enough meat to carry? Well, I think for fun. I think if you're having fun with friends and farming loot and going crazy with the builds, like, it's fine. The fact that it's pure speed based kind of negates tanks in a way, like, because again, it's all about getting it done and getting it done fast. So the only thing would have to be, they would have to design other systems around where certain classes are like either favored or certain mechanics have to be blocked, right? If there was a mechanic that says, like, you're going to have to survive this and there's not going to be enemies to kill, well, if you could have a tank kind of absorb that. But that's neither here nor there. That's like a bigger topic for a later video, so we'll have to wait and see. Now, as far as it goes, what do I think they could do better? We kind of touched on the UI updates that I'd like to see, but I was playing on Devastator a little bit, and I was, like I said, I was joined a friend. Turns out they were playing through the story. They're helping a friend play through the story. I was level 30. I was like, yeah, this is fun. We're friends. Let's go ahead and, let's kill some monsters. But then it would have been nice, because outside of world tier farming, it would have been nice to be able to get some kind of Paragon level that I would get after level 30. Now, that Paragon level doesn't have to be power focused. If you think about legendary drops, if you think about exotic drops, you think about like farming materials and what have you, it'd be nice that if you had a level's worth of XP at cap, that it just kind of rewarded you with some kind of, treasure box that just opened up for you and you got some rewards. I think that would be a key aspect that would just add a lot of value to my experience with Outriders. All right, so pivoting from there, like, that's just one simple thing I think they could add that just adds value in replaying and getting experience, whether you're at end game or replaying the story on a specific capped character. Okay, so that is one. The other one is that I want to see more statistic and analysis of my performance build over build. Like, I would love loadouts to be able to sit here and say, like, here's these weapons and this loadout with these mods and this armor. And then on this one, I want to have these weapons and this armor with these skills to be able to easily swap back and forth. You don't have to go nuts. I don't have to have 100 of these things. But if I had, like, I don't know, 3 to 5 different kind of loadouts that could be saved, I would really enjoy playing around with that. That way you could kind of name them and you're like, yep, here's my 5 loadouts for the Devastator. Here's my 5 loadouts for the Technomancer. You can kind of name them, and I think it could be kind of fun. But essentially, though, like, from going mission over mission, endgame over endgame, what was the speed? What was the damage? What was the mitigation? What was the healing? I'd like to see positives and negatives. Like, how do I do time over time on each one. And that is when I tweeted that out, someone's like, you could take a screenshot. And I was like, I totally get that. I could totally take screenshots, do some Excel comparisons, and perhaps maybe when I get into more build aspects of Outriders, I'll absolutely go and do that. But that's just going to be where that falls. So I'd still love to have those kind of features in game. I don't know necessarily if I want like them to go right into a seasonal model, but I'd love to see something where it's like, okay, from this date to this date, like this is how you did in terms of your data, the next one, and then you could kind of see season over season, comparison over comparison, like, hey, I really kind of switched it up to this specific build and went from there. So that's kind of where I fall. I would love to see them obviously fix the inventory wipe issue. That's the biggest concern, and I think when they can get that resolved, we're going to see a real positive aspect with the game itself. From inventory wiping into the core aspect of the game, the gameplay is so solid. It's just such an incredible game to experience and to play. I'm really enjoying playing it. For those of you who've joined me, thank you guys so much. As my voice cracks, thank you guys so much. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and hopefully you're enjoying the game itself. And as any news kind of comes up, I'll be sure to kind of cover it for you guys. Make sure that you all have you're informed about what is happening in that as well. Now I got a couple of videos also I'm working on, just kind of as a kind of a wrap up this video itself. Working on some new world content. I'm working on some. I'm just really excited, but there's a lot of really good games. Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis is also on the horizon. I can't wait to share more. In fact, I think there's another event next week, so we'll be sure to cover that for y'all. So hopefully we're all on board having a good time for what is to come in 2021. Lots of exciting stuff. So anyway, yeah, I think I'm probably going to sit down and try to film out a Guild Wars 2 update video either later today or for tomorrow or something like that. I know I've been getting a lot of questions about it, and yes, I'm still playing Guild Wars 2, just crossed over the 60 mark. I've been just absolutely in love with it. So when you look at just game time available versus like where do I put my time, I usually try to sit down and play that, and I've been doing a lot of that offline with Julie, which has been a lot of fun. So that's going to be wrap it up. Thanks guys for being here. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you have a great day, and hopefully I'll see you in my next one. And hopefully I'll say about 500 more times. Either way, it is what it is. Thanks for being here, guys. Love you faces. I'll see you next time. Take care. This video is sponsored by me, Ginger Prime. Hopefully you'll check out my podcast channel, Ginger Gaming Radio, which we have lots of guests, lots of great conversations, and even more highlights. Links are in the description below. Let me know what you think. Thanks.